Almost all the learners who are enrolled for Bachelor's in Business Administration program BBA. Even though the program is available and offered across several disciplines of studies, but because this session is particularly dedicated to the BBA learners, so we will discuss certain issues with regard to the English at the workplace. The course code is BEGLA 136. Yesterday we discussed the broader framework of the course. I hope you are aware that in IGNO we have a program, say for example BBA is a program, and then there are several courses which are offered under a wide range that are available for the academic pursuits. And then we have within a course we have certain blocks. Then within the structure of blocks we have a number of units. So this is the structure of the study material. This is important to know how you study it. And one thing that has to be kept in mind that usually the evaluation methodology is slightly different. So there won't be questions that are based only on one particular block or one particular unit. There might be questions which are which spread over quite a few units and sometimes across the blocks. Therefore, it is very important that you go through all the blocks very carefully and make preparations accordingly for the term and examinations. And also, while attempting the assignments, the same strategy has to be kept in mind. So once again, welcoming you to this session. I would like to recapitulate. Yesterday we discussed the broad objectives of the course because I mentioned repeatedly that as you are going to complete the program, so you have to search for the job, and while searching for the job you will find that there is a cutthroat competition in the job market. I'm using the word very cautiously because these days it's not simply that you apply and you end up in getting a job. So it's a market where you have to prove your competence, and the only way to prove your competence as a suitable and appropriate candidate for the uh, business activities, for the market, for economic activities arena, that is your language and of course the core knowledge of the subject, no doubt. So we are concerned with the part which deals with the language part. Even though you can question me that these days there is a lot of environment change where Hindi and other Indian languages are also coming into usage. But if you look at the sector for which probably you were preparing, you were thinking to get into, has a major language which is English. Therefore, the course is offered for the BBA learners. So yesterday we discussed the 4 units, 4 blocks which are exploring the job market, then preparing for the job interviews, then skills for the workplace one and skills for the workplace. This is divided into 2 units. It is spread over 2 units, 2 blocks. So within these 2 blocks, that is skills for the workplace, there will be 8 units. And if you have gone through your study material, your block, and then you might have seen that the size of the unit is roughly 10 to 12 or 14 pages, at times 16 pages. So there is a good amount of information there, and it has been presented in a structured manner. So it is easy to comprehend. We call inbuilt teacher, because while you read, you find somebody is alongside traveling with you, and in case there is a query within yourself, then that query is also answered in the structure of the material. So this is the strategy which is built. This strategy is built to give you an idea that when you prepare a literature for the job in which you are going to enter or you intend to enter, then if there is a document which has to be prepared by you yourself, then that document should be such that it should be self-explanatory. It shouldn't lead into confusion or misunderstanding, and it shouldn't create certain other implications. Particularly, I am very cautious about stating that the business administration or the activities related to business administration, maybe banks, maybe insurance, maybe purchase, maybe industry, or any other area where some kind of economical interference is there, then it becomes all the more important that your language has to be very, very explicit. There is no scope or ambiguity because it leads to legal implication. So, in order to, because uh, there may be area, say for example, if it is a teaching, if it is some different type of nature of job, there might not be as many challenges of legal implications, financial implications, as are there in the area which is related to the bachelor's business administration. So that is how I am saying all the time, language is a very important tool for communication, but the language sometimes also creates a lot of problems if one is not very particular in his or her usage, expressions, narratives. And one important thing we discussed yesterday, even though you might be correct grammatically, but if the language doesn't fit into the social and cultural milieu of the environment where you are working, then that can be another challenge. So we come to the block one. I think you understand now why I am emphasizing that there is a scheme, there is a program, there are courses. Within the courses, there are blocks. Within the blocks, there are units. So today we are discussing the block one, which is of English at the workplace. The block one, as we discussed yesterday, exploring the job market. And within this block, we will be discussing 4 units, and those 4 units are actually the very first unit is profiling yourself for the job, profiling oneself for the job. So the second unit is searching for a job, and the third unit is responding to advertisements, and the fourth unit is preparing for the job. Uh, I think you will be quite intrigued that we are only discussing profiling yourself, searching for jobs, searching for advertisements, and also preparing for the job. We have yet not come to the point that is preparing for interviews. Preparing for interviews will be a altogether second block. So that means there's a whole lot of learning that has to be done as a prospective candidate for the employment or the job market. So the very first block, as I mentioned to you, this is exploring the job market. So what do we mean by exploring the job market? Uh, Exploring the job market means it's looking for avenues. You are searching for the openings, vacancies that are advertised in the job market. One thing I explained yesterday also, and today I would like to reiterate that these days the environment of the job market is entirely different. There was a time when most of us, I mean, considering my age, which is uh, around 60, 65, we used to register in the employment exchange, and there would be several calls, both for government jobs as well as sometimes for private entrepreneurships or jobs also. And we would go and somehow at one or the other place, after quite a few knockings, we would get some job. But these days, nobody is going to come to you. There is no such government agency which works as an employment office, employment exchange. Rather, there are advertisements, there are placement agencies, or rather, the major concerns are already advertising their jobs, vacancy positions in some in their website pages. So you have to find out about the availability or the openings that are coming in a particular organization, and then accordingly you have to profile yourself. Then you have to, of course, search for the job, prepare a CV, and then respond to the advertisement. This is very important. Responding, we will discuss in, because this is a whole unit for this, and we will discuss that today itself. So I'll come straight away to the very first unit of exploring the job market block. The very first unit of the block is profiling. The first unit is profiling oneself for the job. So I do not know if you do really. If you have already studied the study material, gone through it, then you might be having some idea as to what it means by profiling. By profiling, actually, you see, uh, while profiling yourself for the job, it means that you first of all you study the prerequisites of the job. No job, no opening, no work comes without the role that you have to uh, fulfill or discharge at that particular job place. So, very first important thing is to find out that what type of job it is, and what are the qualities that are needed in you to be acceptable for that job. So, profiling, the very first phase in profiling is to gauge yourself, look at yourself, your experience, your academic knowledge, your academic qualifications, citations, and then think whether you are qualified for that job and what kind of qualities are required in a person. Say, for example, if I say there is a position of public relation manager in some corporation, then one has to not only having a proper degree in the media studies, but then one should have an aptitude to be able to communicate with the different segments of the society, a different group of people, and also one should know the media ethics, the media traits, and one has to have a very pleasing personality, a sweet word at the mouth, and then open mindedness to exchange words and information with the media, with the people at large, because there isn't only one form of public relation role is there, but there are several different types of roles that a public relation manager has to fulfill. So find, if there is a position in the public relation organization, just consider your qualities as to what type of qualities, what type of skills that are required in you. The very important part of profiling yourself is, uh, as to how to behave in that new environment. You are not going, you are not going as yet. You are only thinking that if this type of opening comes into the job market and you are able to, get into it, what will be the norms of behavior in that place? Because say, for example, if you are extension officer in a health organization, then you should know the role of the extension officer. You should know how to behave with the professionals, because there won't be simple people. There will be highly qualified professionals, doctors, health specialists, administrators, and so forth. So you have to know as to how to behave in that kind of environment. Uh, and very important quality that while looking at yourself and considering that you can be a candidate for this particular job, you have to have an ability to to read the public, to read the members of the public, to create a profile about them. Say, for example, if you are going to be a sales officer or sales manager somewhere or sales agent, then uh, this is page 5 we are immediately referring to. Then what you have to do is that you have to know how to profile the people or the person who is sitting other side of you. So for example, you are taking one health product for promotional purpose of that product with the vendors or with the hospital staff. Then one has to have an idea how the person sitting on the other side is responding, and how one can create a profile. Profile is the name of the person, the perhaps the qualification of the person, or his profession in as to at what position he or she is placed, what is her or his designation or assignment. And then also you have to assume, or maybe with the small or short conversation, you have to find out whether the person is a recipient to the idea that you took to him or her, in sense that you took a product, whether he or she is showing a interest in that product. So you have to also profile not only yourself. First of all, you have to profile yourself, and also you have to profile the person whom you are going to meet, person whom you are going to discuss, say for example, the product which you would like to sell. How all this happens? This is a challenge. So because we only learn from reading, learn from experiences, learn from listening to others. So there are two powerful tools to know all these things. Let me just tell you, I am only telling or discussing these issues with you from my own limited perspective. If some of you are already employed and maybe working in some senior positions, you could be a better person to add to what I am trying to say. And then also for yourself creating, you could be a better source person to create a profile of yourself as well as the person whom you are going to deal with. So what I'm trying to say that as a learner, sometimes it is not very easy to have so much conversation with experienced person or persons who are highly placed in the industry. I'm telling you, industry means organizations, sectors, and so forth. Say, for example, if we talk about Narayana Murthy of Infosys, Sudha Murthy, his wife, or Bill Gates, or Sundar Pichai, you see, we are not going to meet them. It is not possible. So, how do you learn about them as to what qualities they have? How did they build the huge environment and so forth? So, all this has to be kept in mind. So, all this can be done only, you cannot meet them personally. So, how could you judge as to what qualities they have? So, in that sense, it is very important that you read about them. Sorry, I have a little sore throat. So, you can read about their early life, you read their success stories, you read about their business attitude, angles, and so forth. So, this is very important that you read a lot about the topic on the subject that you are thinking of. So, for example, if you are trying to get into the IT industry, maybe you read Sundar Pichai or Narayana Murthy or Bill Gates, or if you are going to some other industry, Lakshmi Singhania, Lakshmi Mittal, if you read the life story of Reliance, you can study Mukesh Ambani and so forth. So all these people have a lot of information in their life stories. You can know about them, and once you know about them, you can create a profile. So creating a profile means that you understand what the person is when one is born, are his qualification, how did he struggle out to become such an acclaimed person, and so forth. So that is why I'm saying that not only that you should be able to profile yourself, you have to have an understanding how to profile others. But how to profile others? You can profile others only by two means. So that means one is by reading about a person, his life, his success, his vision. So, and the second is listening. That means you listen to some audio clip, you listen to some conversation, you attend some seminar, workshop, and where there is a discussion about a particular person who is well noted in the industry. And then you can create a profile. So we call it then creating a profile of someone else whom you listen to, about whom you read, then that is the writing part. So you can write a small profile, not only about yourself, about person whom you meet. That is why I think in school times there is a small practice session where one student is asked to introduce others and the other is asked the former. So this practice is basically to create a profile. So it is very, very important that you read the great lives, their success, their vision in life, vision in industry. How did they succeed? What were the hiccups, handicaps? What were the problems that they faced? And then you understand their struggle. You understand what the basic part which is coming out of this whole discussion is that you understand what qualities they have. So once you know the typical type of qualities that they had in them, which help them to become successful, then you know that I should also have such qualities. Of course, you cannot have those qualities immediately, but there has to be a model, there has to be kind of aspirations within yourself, and then you can try to imbibe or inculcate those qualities in your life. Let me just also clarify, if I am using the word you, I do not mean you as an individual. You means all of us, or if you take it in a different sense, then one self, one a person should do like this. So that means you are actually not only reading about that person, but you are also learning what are the qualities, what are the qualifications, what are the qualities, what are the traits, what are the characteristics of uh, these persons, and whether those qualities are there in yourself, or person who is looking for job, whether he or she possesses those qualities or not. That is one. Secondly, what happens, because we are talking about the English at the workplace. So if we talk about English at the workplace, and within under that particular topic, we are talking about the uh, searching for the job market, exploring the job market, and within that we are talking about the profiling oneself for the job. You see, you read about a person, you listen about a person. Then what happens? One, that you understand that these are traits, these are qualities that the person possesses. Second thing which comes to your mind, you learn new words. You see, this is very interesting. When you read, you learn new words. When you because otherwise you won't learn them, you won't come to know new words. Why should I? Because nobody is reading dictionary these days, or nobody has ever read dictionary without a purpose. You see, So what happens when you read, you come across new words, and because you are reading about business tycoon, business person, definitely there will be words which deals with the business, which deals with the commerce, which deals with the success, which deals with the socio-cultural behavior in the workplace. So, for example, if you read about uh, Bill Gates, then you will definitely read about his birthplace, about his family environment, about his education, then about his struggle. Then you will also study about his success. Then you will also read about his vision for his his particular industry, as a whole for the IT industry, and as a whole for the nation, and as a whole for the entire globe. So there are that kind of words we will come across which explain his or her biography. So what I'm trying to say is that during the process of reading or listening to a personality, you also come across several new words which deals with the life of that particular tycoon or particular business person. If you note all these terms, then later on you can ponder upon them. Say for example, uh, we talk about the Bill Gates, or we talk about Sudha Murthy, or we talk about Sundar Pichai, then we know that he he had several personal qualities. He was very placid, very calm, very sharp, genius, competitive, hard worker, full of zeal, honest, well behaved, well mannered. He had a lot of interest in computers, in innovations, in research. He was able to take up several projects. He was able to accomplish a success in the projects. He was able to execute several projects. He rose from a very humble beginning in the IT industry, and went up to the top of the industry. So he might have been through the different positions, maybe software engineer, maybe data engineer, then further maybe a team leader or something like it, and he rose to height, and then finally he became the chairman of that organization. So, did you notice how many words I used? So if you notice that after reading, if you note down that how many new words came, which particularly deals with this particular person. If I read about, say for example, Shakespeare, or read about Kalidas, or read about some other person who is associated with literature, you will not find the word like project, congenial, uh, hard work, competitive. These words you will not find in the life or biography of that certain other people. But you will find it in Bill Gates, you will find it in Sundar Pichai, you might find in Mukesh Ambani's life. What is the difference? The difference makes itself a very large amount of vocabulary which emanates from it. And then when you look at it, it means you have learned so many new words. And if you are little conscious, then you can write uh, down them and then see what do they exactly mean in this particular write-up or conversation. So because if we talk about somebody who is a very successful professor, but he might not be in the industry, so he will not be a team leader. You see, he might be a professor, senior professor, head of the department, dean, vice chancellor, but he's not. There won't be a word called team leader. There won't be a word uh, user friendly. There won't be a word like role model, or maybe when read in the applied sense, but normally in a professor's life there will hardly be these words. So this means these are the new words which specifically deal with the professional's lifestyle working in the industry. So what I'm trying to tell you is that it is very, very important to read comprehensions and then understand them, and then read how what are the qualities that person possesses and whether you can inculcate some of those qualities so that uh, you are acceptable for the job in the industry for which you are looking for. So at the same time, there's a lot of vocabulary which has now come to you. So what happens with this vocabulary? This vocabulary helps you to understand the nature of the industry as to how the industry works about, what are the requirements of the industry, and how you can use that vocabulary in that particular industry.
म्यूट म्यूट नहीं किया मैंने, वो
Yes,
आवाज खोल दिया।
somebody wants to ask a question.
सारा
Okay.
सुनाई दे रहा हूँ।
Similarly, if I give you an example of reading or listening to the life of a person who is an acclaimed sportsman, say for example, if we talk about Sachin Tendulkar, we talk about Mahendra Singh Dhoni, we talk about Farooq Engineer, or we talk about any other celebrity sportsman, then we know that their lives were different. They had different struggle. Sachin Tendulkar started very humbly as a 16-year-old, 17-year-old, but he did persist in the game, and then he is the god of the cricket. So this god of cricket is not equally applicable to any other person, because this particular expressions came only to be used for a person who has excelled in cricket, in the game of cricket. So then we know that he underwent a lot of struggle. He was very harassed by the fast bowling, but he kept cool, and ultimately he prevailed upon everybody, and he is known as the god of the cricket. I am narrating a small story, but how many different things that are noticeable in his life. He persisted. He was tried to be bowled out of the game. He was bombarded. He was bowled very aggressively by fast players, fast bowlers. So what is this terminology? This is entirely different terminology. This only deals with the sports, not in general, but particularly with the cricket. So this means a new term, new set of terminology. So you have to, or maybe one has to note it down, and this way you create a repertoire of the uh, terminology or vocabulary with you. And this vocabulary, as it grows, more confidence it brings to you. It gives you more confidence to face this situation, and also it gives you it builds a kind of skill within yourself to express yourself more emphatically and accurately. Uh, that was about reading and also listening about a person's, listening about celebrity, lifestyle, biography, and so forth. So that helps in two way. One is that you understand what are the qualities that person possessed, and whether those qualities are already with you or you still require to inculcate them. We cannot say that one becomes overnight Bill Gates or Sundar Pichai or Mukesh Ambani or Sudha Murthy or whatever it is, or Sachin Tendulkar. But there has to be a beginning, and for beginning you need some, some clue. So this can give you a clue that yes, with these traits you can begin, and then ultimately you will definitely excel. And that was one. Sometimes it is very important that reading is one thing, then speaking is another art. Speaking is a very important art. So to speak to speak about something, you have to learn about the something. Something means a person, a game, a product. Because say for example you are going to look after a product, then you have to read a lot about the product. Then during reading about that product, you have to learn new terminology, new vocabulary, new words. That is one thing. Learning is one thing. Reflecting that learning, we call the good learning is reflective. The good learning is called reflective learning. What is a reflective learning? That means whatever you learn, you can put into practice. So what I'm trying to say is that once you read about something, gather a lot of vocabulary, know how to explain and express, then one can try to build a kind of profile of someone, and then you narrate it. How do you do that? I mentioned to you just now, in school this is a usual practice to ask one learner, one student to introduce the other, and then ask the other student to introduce the former. So that is a speaking exercise. So that is equally applicable in the business sector also, for job market also. For example, you are in an industry, you are holding a small workshop, you are the in charge of the workshop or the coordinator of the workshop, and there are three resource persons in that workshop. Your duty is to introduce the persons. How do you introduce? How do you introduce? You introduce by giving the name of that person, his work, his place, his position, his education qualification, his achievements in life, and certain other qualities which might be resting with that person particularly. So, to tell these 6, 7, 8 things, you need to read about that person. And then you need to read about that person. You have to have the words, appropriate words, because not all the words are enough to explain each and everybody. You cannot use the same narrative, same expression, same vocabulary. Each person is a different in his or her stride. Therefore, you have to have a different terminology, different vocabulary to narrate or explain an individual. For example, if you are speaking about Virat Kohli, fine. You know he is the king of cricket these days. He is not god of the cricket, he is the king of the cricket. Why he is called king of the cricket? He is a fearless cricketer, he is a fighting cricketer, and he has achievements to his credit. But if you look at the game of kabaddi or kho, you will not use the word king, god, or something like it. What you have to do there, he is a very good raider, he is a very good point snatcher, and like that. So there is a variation in the vocabulary terminology. So when you read about that person, businessman, sportsman, industry person, a teacher, professional, you read about a different terminology, a different vocabulary. So that is how it is very, very important. So when you profile someone, when you create a profile of someone for yourself, then how do you know? Yes, he is Major Randeep Singh. He retired from the Indian Army. Presently, he's working as a chief security officer. He is married and having two kids. He's very strict, he's very honest, very helpful, yet very daring and challenging, and like that. All these words, the vocabulary describes a person, and then a kind of image comes before us. So one should be able to not profile oneself, but also profile others for your own consumption. As maybe if you have to speak in public or present that person in the public, you should be able to present, provided you have read about that person. Uh, you see, uh, very important question is about the usage of language. Usage of language is very, very important. Sometimes, we try to use passive voice, sometimes active voice. But in English, it is very important that we know the proper usage. So that means a grammatical exercise is also very important. You have to know about the sentence structure, because sometimes when you read the biographies or autobiographies or the life sketches of people, they are written in very descriptive, very, very descriptive style. So there, sometimes the sentence structure is so complex that it is very difficult to copy that. But because you are a beginner, you are just entering into the job market, and you are only trying to build a kind of competence in yourself, you can use small sentences. Uh, you have to use language, you have to understand that how to justify your statement. Say, for example, uh, making the sentences interrogative one. Sometimes someone say he is coming from the school. So you can ask, is he coming from the school? Does he come from the school at this particular time? Or is it the time for him to come from the school? So there are three, four different shades. Or he drives the car by himself. Does the car is driven by himself? So you should be able to change the voice according to the situation. Because in English language, it is uh, as opposed to Hindi and several Indian languages where an active voice is more preferred with the use of I, we, and us. In English language, it is more preferred that we use the passive voice. So we have to have this simple understanding. We will come to complex uh, features of grammar in later in several other units. But in a simple reading, you have to know how to change the format of the sentences. So when we have done all this exercise, finally, maybe while replying for the advertisements, it is very important that you know how to fill up, how to write about someone. Because in general understanding, I can say, yes, he is Bill Gates, he is 56 years old, he is this and that, and so forth. So, say for example, there is a pro forma about your candidature which you will submit for the job or the submit against the advertisements which has come out or appeared in some corner. Then you have to, a lot of people, youngsters I have seen, they they are confused as to what information will go, because there are a lot of fill in the blanks, lot of such statements which are not very clear to them in the beginning. So one has to read it properly, and then if one knows this sentence structure, where are the pauses and how the meaning changes with the usage of pauses, then one can definitely write not only a profile but can also fill up a questionnaire, fill up a pro forma for enlisting oneself for the job market. So these are small examples how to profile yourself, how to profile others for yourself. How to profile others for yourself simply means how do you understand, what do you understand about the person about whom you have read. First of all, you should know I am ABCD, my name is this, I am so many years old, I have obtained degrees from this and this university, I have a work experience of so many years, these are my publications, and so forth. But when you profile others, then you should know he or she is such and such person, he or she is 28 years old, uh, she is she has graduated from the King's George Medical University, Lucknow, presently working as a chief resident, a very uh, helpful person, this and that, and maybe several other achievements or several other part of his or her life. Those can come. So you profile others. It means you create an understanding of others also through reading their profile, through reading their life sketches. One underlining aspect of this reading, which I will emphasize again and again, is learning new vocabulary and learning the traits, qualities needed for the industry. If I read about a person who has excelled in IT, then I know about the qualities required for entering into the field of IT. If I read about a sports person, I know what are the qualities required for the sports. Not only this, I also then learned a lot of terminology which deals with sports or the industry or teaching profession or any other profession, and then it adds to my vocabulary, and ultimately I have more freedom, more choice of words to be used in my profiling someone else or myself. And also I have information as to what I should write while fulfilling a pro forma or profiling oneself for the job market. So, dear learners, this was the unit 1 of block 1, which was profiling yourself for the job market. Now, the second uh, unit is searching for a job. Searching for a job is an interesting feature. I have been telling you that the time has changed. It is not the olden times when the opportunities used to get at your doorsteps. You have to look for the job. You have to search for the various jobs which are advertised differently. So, a kind of understanding one must have about the job market, about the world of job. What is the idea about the world of job? The idea is to that what kind of jobs are available, which are the organizations that are providing those jobs, what are the qualities, what are the eligibilities, qualifications required for a job. If you understand these two, three things, then you know that whether you are eligible for that particular job or not. That is one thing. You see, even the bachelors in business administration may not all the time or always will be eligible or suitable for bank officer's job or bank probationary officer's job or maybe for sales job. So your aptitude might not be there for the sales. You might be more interested in a back end job. So you within the world of jobs, you have to search for a suitable or appropriate job which not only matches with your qualification, but it also uh, commensurate with your education, educational qualification, and also to your taste. Uh, that is one thing. The next very important point is that how do you know about the that jobs are particularly available in this particular job market? What should be done? Nobody is going to tell you, maybe, except your friends who will refer you some websites. They may be referring you to the placement agencies, or if you happen to know, acquaint with your seniors, they might be placed in some industry. They might refer your name to the industry. So, but apart from this, sometimes you can also write letters to various organizations, industries, placement agencies, just to let you know whether there exists any vacancy for you. Uh, One simple and very important tool that today we have is the internet. So I think all of you are quite aware and you have been using the technology, so I need not emphasize much on it. You already understand as to what role internet can play in providing you jobs or helping you to explore jobs. Yeah, please ask your question. Yes, someone has raised the hand. Uh, do- okay, I'll continue. It is very evident today that internet plays a great role, a very important role in the job market. If I get it correctly, Divakar has raised his hand. Would you like to say something? Uh, would you like to say something? Okay, no, I will continue. Yes, yes.
सर यूनिट 1 में एक्टिविटी 3 में जो सानिया मिर्जा का जो ऑडियो है वो कहाँ पे मिलेगा?
This audio you have to search. You have to search for it.
Where, sir?
Usually, it is available. It is available on the. If you look or search for her profile, there might be a audio clip which you can listen to.
Okay, sir.
But it is not important. You see, I gave you several other examples. Sani Mirza is one, but you can also listen to a conversation about, with Smriti Mandhana, that is by sports journalist, and several other people. So you can listen to Sachin Tendulkar or any other sports person. So this was just an example. So that is how I am not actually sticking to these examples.
Okay, sir.
Just so the second part is I told you that the internet plays very important role. So I need not emphasize much because all of you are uh, quite technology savvy. So you know, very important is in particularly searching for a job is I already mentioned. If you read or listen to about some sports person, then you come across a lot of sports vocabulary, terminology. Similarly, if you read about a person like Sundar Pichai or listen to his conversation, he'll talk about data mining, deep learning, artificial intelligence, and so forth. So that means if you apply for a job which has a linkages with the information technology or artificial information or deep learning or machine learning or whatever it is, then you must understand that terminology very uh, in detail. You cannot simply just apply and think that, oh, I will see when it comes. You have to use a very appropriate and apt terminology while sending applications. Say, for example, if you write an application for the sales position, then you should know the terminology which is used in the market, how to float a product, how to bring it to the notice of the consumers or the distributors. So you know how distributor writes, what are the special features of his or her writing, how do they further push the product into the market, and what percentage of earnings are there for a particular party, how much you will earn on that particular. So not only that it is pushing a product or selling a product, but you have to explain the usage of that product. It's technical information you have to give to the vendor. So there is a technical information, there is information relating to trading, there is information relating to commerce, there is information relating to economy, pricing, and so forth. So you can assume your role, a very important role, while working for the business activities, working for the industry or similar organization. So again there is a crisis. Where do you get all this terminology? Who will bring you to this terminology? This is a challenge. So this challenge is only fulfilled, or you can surpass this challenge only by reading. So you have to read about sales, you have to read about the pricing policy, exim policy, the financial norms of the country, the trading norms of the market, the language of the trade or the market. All sorts of assets are there with regard to usage of language. So that means you have to have a very rich vocabulary with you. You should be able to switch over from product information to its economic or the remuneration part to the return part. You should be able to tell them that how much you can invest initially and what will be the gains on it. So this loss and gains, this pushing the product into the market and so forth. So all these terminologies, all these technical words will come to you only after you have gone through the write-ups or studied about the product, its marketing strategies, the financial implications, and also the policies of the government with regard to a particular product and its trading. I have been discussing with you that when you search for the job market, then you also need to read about the nature of various types of jobs which are there in the market. So, what you should read about the jobs? You cannot read much about the jobs. Jobs are there. You see, they require specific kind of educational background and also experience. Some specific qualities they require. But what do you need to do? You need to study about the career. You know, what is career? Career is a Career is a journey of life. So where do you want to end? You know, that you have to decide. So you should learn about how to build a career. That means how to begin your career. That means how to become worthwhile to the society. So read about that. So the problem is that the challenges of the career definition has been changing very, very rapidly. 20th century, very different. 21st century, very different. The coming century will be much more. I do not know how to forecast about the coming century. Talking about the present itself is a quite cumbersome issue because there's a lot which has changed. We have come from colonialism, we have come from the passage through the freedom struggle, then we became free, then it was modernism, then we are in the era of post-modernism. So what is post-modernism? What is modernism? What is freedom struggle? All these things are important as you begin your journey with a career. That means you have to see that the postmodernism age is an age of free expression, media independence, domination by the knowledge warehouses, and so forth. So that means you cannot assume a career which was there in the 80s or 90s of year 2000, but in 2020 era of or the 2023 era, it is totally different types of career approach that you have to adopt. We cannot apply in the same fashion which we used to apply in the 30, 40, 60 years back. It's a totally different approach. Youngsters are looking at the career very differently. Ours was the age group when we looked for the stability, permanency in the job. But today, youngsters are moving almost every year to a new. They are switching over. They do not shy or shirk for a moment. They just push through and go for the next job. So it is a different scenario. You have to read about how to build your career. So you have to read various techniques how to build a better career for yourself. So once you do that, you come to know about the various terminologies. You have to be creative person. You have to be, you know, very competitive. You have to be assertive. We will come to a chart which is very important as to what type of person people are successful in the job market. So you have to be assertive. You cannot be just docile or maybe sitting calmly. You have to exert yourself. The time is such. Nobody gives you a way to move ahead. So all these issues you come through while read about the careers. What is career? How a career is built? What are the challenges in building a good career, and so forth. So then you come a lot of vocabulary. If you read about the career, means one has to be ambitious, one has to be extrovert, one doesn't have to be introvert, one has to be punctual, one has to be hardworking, one has to be sensitive, one has to be cool-headed, you have to be creative, you have to be energetic, you have to be persuasive, dynamic. One example I will give you, a very important example. These days, you see, right from morning to evening, I do not know whether it is same with you, but I receive at least 20 to 50, 30 calls. Sir, we are selling a plot. We are selling this product. We are selling health product. We are selling this. We are doing that. We are doing investigations. Would you like to have this is a package, this and that? So I say thank you very much for calling. After 1 hour, I again receive a call. After 2 hours, again receive a call. Sometimes in a day itself, from the same agency, I receive 4 or 5 calls. What it means? If this would have been the case with me, I would never call somebody after calling once when somebody has said, no, I am not interested. So that means the sales person has to be persuasive, has to be extrovert. He doesn't mind. Openly say, sir, it will fetch you so much of benefit. I say, no, I don't want the benefit. He say, no, still, what? Please listen to me. So he is open. He's no not introvert that he keeps things inside himself or herself. So this is a quality which I learned when I read about the challenges of career in 21st century. So one has to be punctual, sensitive, ambitious, persuasive, dynamic. All these are the qualities I can find in the younger generations. All these qualities are with them. So that means they are building career in the 21st century. So if I come across these many words from one reading that is about career, you see, I know that how, if I'm looking for a career in the industry, what qualities I'm required to have. So these are the qualities. So one that I read about the qualities, understand the qualities, and secondly, I read about the features. Those are features become clear to me only with the use of the appropriate terminology or the vocabulary. So this vocabulary is getting more and more enriched, and it is giving me better understanding. It is giving me more confidence. If I speak to my prospective boss, I can say, "Sir, I have ambitions in life. I would like to be a successful person. I like to put things quite clearly across the table. I will be punctual, and you know that I am quite sensitive to the issues or the issues of the industry, and I will not let things go easily. I'll pursue them. So that means I put all these adjectives in few statements. But how did I do that, or how am I successfully putting it? Because I read them. I read about them, and then I understood them that how to use them. So all these things, all these capabilities, all these elements of confidence get built in you only when you read about that particular issue. So this is very important, and as a person who is looking for searching for job, you must know the job market, its strategies, particularly with regard to the challenges to the career building in the 21st century. Uh, Similarly, if you are asked to narrate all these qualities, I think I have put in through few words, few sentences. If there is a job, maybe uh, in, in particularly, say, for example, in the IT industry, then you have to apply for that. Then you should know how to enlist your skills. You can say, I know the machine learning. My area is artificial intelligence, and I also know much more about the deep learning, this, that, so forth, and data analysis, implications, data mining. So you have to use all these words. So say for example you put in the application, so then you can say, sir, I'm so and so. I have earned my bachelor's degree in computer science from so and so university. I worked with the so and so organization for these many years. I submit this application for the position of data engineer in your organization. I hope as and when the interview is held, you will definitely give me a chance to appear and present my credentials to you. So that way you have to write. So what? But how do you write that? So you have to learn about this by reading one base information, and if you have to present this, not write, present this, then you have to listen to a conversation. These days there are hundreds and thousands of videos of professionals conversation. So if you listen to some of them, then you will come to know how precise the professionals are in presenting themselves. Very pertinent, very uh, apt, to the point, crisp, categorical, cunning, what we call cunning. One must be very precise. So you have to know how to present yourself. So how to speak about yourself. First, you have to listen to, and there are a lot of techniques, lot of introducing yourself. But all these techniques cannot be studied at one place. You have to listen to these, because a lot of changes are happening in the industry day by day. A lot of new uh, mechanics are being introduced into the industry. People are behaving very very differently. They are becoming more uh, focused, centered on their own agenda and idea. But that is the order of the industry today. So you also have to behave in the similar fashion. Now, little bit, I have been presenting few sentences to you. So it is very important that you know what are the advantages of simple sentences, complex sentences, or the sentences or the narratives which have to be presented in maybe the continuous format or the perfect format. Say, for example, you can simply say, yes, I am pursuing this particular course in addition to my academic degrees that I have achieved or obtained previously. So you are doing it. You, and I am doing it, I do it, I am doing it, I have been doing it. I did it, I had been doing it, I had done it. So you should sound very clear as to you are putting the things in present tense, those things only which you are doing in the present. Those things which are in the process of happening, then you have to use that appropriate form of the tense. And those things which you have done, you put them into the past or the happened tense. Similarly, you cannot be very, very committal to the industry. That you have to be very, very careful. So while using the language, uh, you have to respond very properly, very, very cautiously. You cannot make false commitments. That yes, I will do that. I will do that. I will do. I shall be doing it or something like it. Be very, very committal. Presently, I'm doing it, and I hope to do it if the time and circumstances permit. So the problem is that the writing style, particularly with regard to English language, the passive style is much more preferred, and in a way it suits more to the structure of the language. But if you have to write maybe in Indian languages or so forth, then the active voice is much more preferred, because that is the nature of the languages. Very interestingly, when you write about say for example, traits that are needed for a particular job, then you read about the career of in that particular arena, and then you know what are the challenges within that particular arena where the jobs opportunities are available. Perhaps you have to fill in a form. So sometimes there are different techniques are used by the organizations to retrieve information from the candidates. They allow multiple MCQs. I know, I'm sure you know about these multi MCQs, how they should be responded to. Sometimes there are tick boxes, sometimes there are check boxes, sometimes there are options A, B, C, D, sometimes there are options 1, 2, 3, 4, sometimes there are A, B, C, D options, sometimes there are X, Y, Z, or like that. And sometimes there is a graded feedback performer. So there is a good, better, best, or excellent, or sometimes there is an average, good, excellent, something like it. So the problem is that how do you grade? How do you grade yourself? So one has to know how the employees are graded. So this gradation goes in a hierarchical manner. It goes into performance in a graded manner. So there one has to be, say for example, a very different approach is also adopted. An example is there like honesty, punctuality, sense of belonging, commitment, respect, responsibility. So if you are asked to tick these boxes, how would you gauge yourself? Can you claim that your priority is honesty, or your priority is punctuality, or your priority is sense of belongingness, or your priority is commitment, or priority is respect or responsibility? So if you have to grade them, there are six. What would you grade the most? Honesty, punctuality, sense of belongingness, commitment, respect, responsibility. Every quality is important, but how do you grade it? That's a big challenge. So there you have to use your intelligence, your mind, because in any organization, perhaps if it is a production house, maybe your commitment is very important. Maybe your punctuality is top priority. Maybe if it is a profit-making organization, maybe sense of belongingness is the priority. So you prioritize them from 1 to 6. So respect is, of course, is there, but it definitely will come in the end, and maybe commitment, responsibility, sense of belongingness, punctuality, honesty. So what I'm trying to say is that this is psychological test. So you are given such psychological test also to judge as to how you rate them. So if you are able to rate it properly, it means you understand the prerequisites of a particular industry, particular work environment, and then you can accordingly prioritize them. Sometimes very interesting performance designed, where you have to give three hobbies, you know, and sometimes we do not understand it right. Singing, listening to music, traveling, reading, like that. But we have to understand that my hobby has to be a generative cause to the prospective employment also. So, for example, if I'm applying for sales executive's job, and if I write my hobby is listening music is first, playing game is second, and traveling is third, then the organization will think, oh, he hardly goes out. So if I put him as a sales executive, he or she will be very reluctant to travel around. So there's a problem. So while being honest, you also have to see the obligations, priorities of the organization. So you see, these are tests which are devised very intelligently by these very seasoned professionals, psychologists, and then they know about your interests, your priorities, your suitability to a particular job for which you are applying. Sometimes there's a very none of the above and not applicable. When we give choices and options, we usually take this, but this is not accepted anymore. You have to give a good uh, rationale as to why you don't tick or prioritize this particular activity as topmost or the least. So, not applicable, or let me just come to a concluding point that today is a scenario for the job is that you have to explain, we did do it, no, that is not acceptable. I do it, I can do it, I will do it. So, this I do it, very precise, categoric statement and commitment is what is needed. How does it get developed within yourself is by by reading, by listening to the live sketches, by reading, by gathering the appropriate terminology used in the in different types of readings. Say, for example, if I ask you to read about a career, read about a career in 21st century, challenges of industry in 21st century, industry in 21st century, future of IT industry, then you will have a lot of very segregated terminology coming to you. So if you gather that around, you make a large corpus of the technical terminology and then use it in your writing reports, writing CVs, and put it up for the job prospectus. Definitely, you will be noticed and you will have better opportunities to be get noticed. So, dear learners, we will do only these 2 units today because I have small other activity lined up. Maybe day after tomorrow, then in the coming sessions we will have more time. But because I am immediately reminded to take up my next activity, so I'll take leave from you today. And tomorrow we will meet at the same time again, then discuss the remaining 2 units of block 1, which was the searching for the job, and the very first block, 2 units we have done. So, exploring the job market. We will discuss tomorrow the remaining 2 units. Those are the responding to the advertisements, particularly what type of reading has to be done, what type of vocabulary goes into it, and what type of speaking or the listening and writing exercise we have to do, and similarly preparing for the job. So we'll discuss these 2 units tomorrow. So with this, I take leave from you and conclude my session for the day. Thank you very much. We will meet tomorrow at the same time.
Thank you, sir.
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 Good, sir.